Masechet Hullin Daf Kuf Chaf Amud Aleph, 11 lines down. Now the Gemara said we were trying to learn one thing from the next. Could we learn from Hametz to Nevela or Haleb? These three things. Why we need three Pesukim? We could have learned one from each other. We said we can't learn one from each other. The Gemara says, okay, maybe you can't learn one from the next. Maybe learn two from one, and therefore you don't need the third pasuk. Which two should we do? Should we only the Torah should not have written the word nefik by nevilah, and we should have learned it from the other ones, the Haleb and Hametz, but you can't do that. But those have karet, and nevilah does not. Those are not hametz v'teded me'arav. You skip the hametz. Hana shekin lahayit lat kosher, but it's different because the halib and nevilah were never mutar versus hametz, which has its time in mutar, not on Pesach. Those that are not by halib v'teded me'arav. Do you want to not write by halib and we learn it from the other two? Hana shekin lo tabi halal, but the other two hametz and nevilah never mutar with their type of pieces. Tomorrow halib should have but halib is mutar, has a exception to the rule, which is حياة حلب مطاع. ومعنى was the exception either the حلب ما هو wanted the حلب بين animal for بتميداش for كربان نبدأ نعمل so نبدأ also الشرع ملكا also ملكا of a bird is also mutar. And it's kind of a nivela because it's not really a good shahita. The bird is slaughtered with the kohen's finger in the back of the neck. So it's kind of a nivela as mutar. But the thing is, Nilanami Ishlam, okay, but Halib Haya, I don't know, we want to say, okay, maybe like we said what I said before, that Halib Haya is mutar for a regular person. Nilanami Stunib also is an exception. Ishram Melikata Hatata off the Konim, the bird of a Hatat can be mutar for Konim, also as a Melika. Leolam Halib Haya, no, really it is the Halib Haya as the exception. With the Akash da Konim, you bring a question from Konim. Konim Mishuhan Gavoa Kazach. That's not a real exception because the Kohanim are eating from the Bet HaMikdash, from Hashem, and therefore it's not their own item. It's not their own exception. That's why if Nefesh had been written any of the other two, we would not need it. We would not have been able to learn it. And that's why we had to write it three times. Okay, but the time the Brisa says, Hatmeim regarding the Tameh Shiratzim. Lesor Ksitan Vratvan Vikivashalin. Also, their juices, gravy, and sediments are asur. Namely, when Pasik teaches also asur. Like Mahana went to learn from the cases of Halif Hamet and Nevla, also asur, even liquid. Where says, Tzrihe, you still need to teach it. The Torah did not write it over there. Hava Amina, they have the Dvormina din Layat. Maybe you would have thought that the place we're learning from is the same as Halacha as a source. And therefore, Mahatam Ada Ikazar over there by like Halif Hamet and Nevla, you have that in the Kazayt for a liquid. Avhachanami, the Atikazami, you also need a Kazayt of Shiratzim to be asur. But that's not true because even in a lentils are sort of sheretz. Those are Hanav Shiratzim. So why don't you only mention Shiratzim? Little Hanaf Ligmillah went to learn the other from sheretz. The Gemara says mission the Igmillah because they would not be able to because that logic would be flawed. Shiratzim Shekim to them because the Shiratzim have too even a minute amount. Therefore, you can't compare it to other cases. But it says Hatel Hadash Vahak Tashash should be the Vakalim Tevel, which is proves that we're not separated yet for Tirumah. Hadash, no grain. Hekdesh and should be eaten clean. Hatash is the new grain before Pesach is makes it mutar. Nowadays we should try to do it. Try to do it a little bit at least. Especially now's the season where it's starting to turn over. Do some research into it. You will see a lot of beracha. The table the Hadash Shvi'it, which is Shemitah fruits and Kilayim, mixed crossbreeded fruits. Kulan Mashkin Hatzin Men Kimotan. All of them, the law is that liquids from them are like them. Mina Hinozram, the same halacha. Vechitim and the Minach, you want to say that they're in the same context. Well, halach, but you can't compare. Shekini Sunab Ma'alab, because these shouldn't happen automatically. Nothing has to change. No human invention. Tena Hecha the Isur Ma'alab, but these so that only applies to Isurim happen automatically, which could be some of them like Shivit, but things did not happen automatically, like lime. Where would you know it's a sword? The Gemara says, it's not from Yukurim. We could also a sword from liquid. Then the rest of the verse says, pretty of says fruit, pretty atamavi, You can bring a fruit as bikurim v'yetan heavy meshke. You can bring liquid heavy and avim v'zirah haminayim. How you know if they broke grapes and smushed them into wine with also asur? This was mutar. Sorry, tilmar tavi you can bring any type, even liquid bikurim. You can mifrach, but you still can't bring a proof from there because bikurim bikurim shekin tamim kriya halacha. You need it's more strict than regular Hekdesh because bikurim need to be set pesukim and praised on beach when you bring it. Gemara says el gamar mitzvah like learn from Turma. Uturma gugana and also Turma also said liquid is the same. It be Bikurim because there's about the Bikurim, the Mamor, because then Braita Truma, Tiadecha, El Bikurim refers to Bikurim. Mar said, you can't compare it to that from Bikurim, to Mara, Shekin Haya, Din, Aleha, Mita, Chumash, because it's more strict than Hadesh, because the non Kohen have Mita for eating it on purpose, or if you ate by mistake, it's a pay 20% penalty. Like Mar Mita, Bikurim, you can learn from both Tumam Bikurim. The Rosh is not going to provide them. She can have in the meat of mush. They both have the halacha of eating meat of eat on purpose and 20% eat by mistake. The Gemara says, "Ella ati mituma v'had minanach is going from tuma one of the other ones. Halef chametz and edula, only bikurim minanach or bikurim from the other ones." By the time Mishnah and that's what Mishnah says, "Devash tamarim v'yain tipachim v'chametz sitvaniyot." If a non-Kohen accidentally ate date honey, apple cider, or vinegar, or grapes from the winter, which is not non-fully ripened. وشو عم يبيرو any other fruit juice شتو ما that what هي زي ما حياة كلمة محاولة شو بيزر سيج still حياة تبيتها أنا عندي 8 plus 20% fee بيشو من potential sector ما دي بسمع حاجة بيصل بدين منا the question is if you learn from something and you can learn from it وبدين منا بعقب ترى you learn from something and use that own context من في اسمع لغة that what دي بيلا سفار دون ومنا the other holds it learn from it and you continue to learn from it and therefore ما بكريم مش كنا نسميه كمان like بكريم ده خا that fruits that come from it are like it after ما نعمل مشكين هنسميهن كمان so to the fruits after ما also have the same خا with the liquids ومنها and then you continue learning ما بكريم ما فيش آمين and بكريم also apply to other types of fruits besides grapes and olives after ما نعمل أفيش آمين so to as well they apply to other types of fruits as well. Rabbi Yeshua Savar Duminan, Rabbi Yeshua says, continue learning from it. Ma begrim shashkin is imehen kumatan, just like bikurim. Elacha is that the liquids can come from there like them. But after ma mashkin to menatan, so to as well. Okay, but then you stop it there in its own context. That what ma mashkin kosher betuma, just like liquids can become kadosh like truma. Tirosh v'yitzhar emidei achin lo, only wine and oil can be kadosh, and not anything else can be truma right away. After mashkin has imehen kumatan, so to liquids as well of Tilma first. Sirach Visayin, only wine and oil, Midahin will not anything else. By the time Mishnah says, and with in Bikurim Hashke, you cannot bring Bikurim in liquid, except for wine and oil. Oil. Mani who's going to be sure, wants to get going to be sure, but the Amar he holds, don't never quite to stay in the same context. Vegamar Lahu Bikurim Dura, he learns from the Bikurim from Turma, teaching that the same liquid applies, same halacha applies to liquid. By the time Mishnah says regarding juices or la. And so, mishum or la, a person who drinks the juice of an orla fruit does not get malkut. Ela yotzei be'ezim v'anavim except for wine and olives and oil. Man is according to Bishua is going to Bishua the Arab one of the today was like really becoming to ba. Okay. Then he continues to learn from Bukurim to Orla. Be'ela mentioned in Mishnah that the alal it combines with the meat to transfer to ma of food, but not nivla. My elal, what's elal? Not the el-al, but el-al. Rabbi Yochanan says, martika. This is a sinew by the spine and the neck. Ligament of the cervical ligament. Okay. Rabbi Yochanan says, no. Basar sheplatos, again, that's the flesh that's cut off by the meat when the flaying of the animal. Metiv, question from against Rosh Hashanah. Ve'ulam atem tofle sheker rofe elil kulechem. Basically, the Mandamar Martika makes sense about Rabbi Yochanan. Hainu lav derafvai, that's the pasuk is referring to something that cannot be healed. That's what the pasuk is referring to. It's not a non-healer. You can't heal this thing. Because you can't heal a cervical ligament that's snapped. The Mandamar Basar Shabbatot the Kimber Quantity holds that's something that's cut by a flaying knife, but that could be healed. Gemara says no. But Allah declared the Kulim al Pigi. And that pasuk, yes, that's Allah means the Martika, the ligament of the cervical ligament. Deeply words in my Belal Matatin Ar Mishnah. Matas bring a proof according to Rish Lakish. Rabbi Yehuda says regarding the Allah that's gathered. אם יש כזה במקום אחד, כזה in one location, חייבים להביא חייב. אמר ירדן לבן סדר, והוא shipments only be gathered on purpose. based on the modern it makes sense according to Shakish, so that allows the meat that's left over from flaying. حين ذخيرتها كذا من حياة, that means you have to gather together. The man damar ما تركب according to Shakish, who holds it's the ligament. كي كذا ما هذا. As بعضه, even if it is excited, who cares? Like a wood. It's not edible. Ali would be developed not question answer that because he holds it's reversed to meat. Keep it my hug live around Hamim who argue that it has to be an egg kibasa at least. Rabbi Haman Martika Lamitra, Rabbi Haman says even the Martika can combine Bashakisham al Dafka Basar Shabatozakim, which is only the meat that's played. Aval Martika lo Misri, but regarding the Martika, it definitely cannot be combined. Okay. High basar shavtozakin, regarding the meat that's left over by the flaying knife. Here was the case. Eat the hajil if you had intention to eat it after you cut it, and it's just left over in the hide. I feel that I'm paying off even if you should have 2 months eaten by itself without touching it because you had intention to as food. Eat lo hajil if you did not have intention to eat it, but lo batlesh batel. Rabbi they have different answers. Hadar mixato hashivlav. One means that he only had intention to eat part of it, but not the rest. But Hadar mitzvah pelato yeah. Another opinion says no, we got left over not by a knife, but some of it was left over by a beast that sliced it and then it got stayed there. And the rest was left over by the knife. Don't matter. Harhatom by the beak and the claws of the nevela of a kosher bird. That it gets food to ma for the flesh and it gives food to ma from the flesh and it combines with other foods for food to ma. Like hatom can it really combine for food to ma? It's ba'amud, so you can't eat a beak. Where it says Ari Azar, hatom tatom is the lower part of the beak, which is edible. Tatom neyami it's ba'amud. 1 second, that's also wooden, like wood. There's some reason no amar tatom chalayon, the lower part of the upper part of the beak. That's edible. So when I'm regarding the claws, that's referring to the part that's stuck in the flesh, the roots which have edible parts. Kanaim the horns, that's part of the horn and the roots where there's blood flowing, and when you cut, blood comes out, that's also somewhat edible. Let's stop here.